I think one of the very most interesting things about this course are, of course, all the things that the developers put into the game to distract you. Sync them up really quickly. Much better. So there's the cheap, the ghosts, and some bats in 150 cc's. So it looks like Dan's just having a little bit of maneuvering trouble, and Beck is pulling ever so slightly ahead. So he's going to make it into the bat house first. Beck will pull ahead here. Oh, it missed mini turbo right there. 42 flat. Actually, Dan pulls ahead just a little bit. 41.89. I believe that we're ever so slightly off on the syncing. Let me try to sync that up. I made it worse. That's about as close as I can get it for now. So, coming around, looks like Dan is ever so slightly ahead now. Beck is now trailing. Coming through with a 41.52, and yes, Beck will trail 41.85. So the gap is about a half second at this point. It's gonna take a miracle at this point. Half second, as far as where these players are ranked, is quite a large chunk of change as far as times go. Looks like Dan worked out the kinks today. Said he was not driving up to par, but it looks like he is doing very well today. Despite that, very good driving from both players. Dan will take the first race in this 205 flat to 205.69. And now it will be Beck's chance to fire back with his pick on the next track here. One thing to note in the first two sets and the third and fourth set is that once they have chosen that track, they cannot choose that track again until after the second set, when all the picks will reset. And we're going to Koopa Troopa Beach next, and I'll count them down. That should be much better now. So we'll see a few things on this track. They want to stay as close to the side of that mountain right there without hitting it. And the uneven ground makes it really tough to do that. So as you get a little better, your mini turbos get a little bit faster and you know kind of where to go. We'll see a mini turbo off the ramp into the cave. Both players doing a very nice job. Beck just tapping the side of the mountain there. Lose just a little bit of time. He's going to pull through with the 32.07. Dan trailing with the 32.26, so he pulls ever so slightly ahead despite that. And even though they make the ramp and mini turbo into the cave look very easy, it is very tough to do. It's such a very narrow spot to go up. Looks like Beck just jumped right in on that one, so with the mini turbo coming in, Dan will actually save a little bit of time with that. 32 flat, 32.43, so now in Dan's favor about 0.2 of a second. going just a little bit wider around that that long stretch to the left. Looks like Dan's gonna make it into the cave first. Both players hitting the mini turbo. Very nice. It looks like just that, just hopping in that second lap will let Dan take this one, unless anything happens at the end here. Yep, 136.17 to 136.33. Dan is now up 2 tracks to Beck's 0. Alright, and Dan is next up to choose. And we're going to Royal Raceway. Nice. They're both ready, so I'll count them down. So both players will use that start boost to get a mini turbo charging up at the same time. The first big time save is the 180 right here, crossing over the grass. Both players having a good time at it. Another big time save here is how close you can get to the wall using the mushroom, cutting the grass right here. So we'll see how they do. Wow, nice. Both players right about even as of right now. This is a much longer track, so as they keep the consistency up, it gets a lot more impressive. Both players landing at the same time. Oh, Beck having some trouble with the mini turbo coming around the corner. Dan will pull ever so slightly ahead. 57.76. Beck trailing with the 93. Next 180. Oh, Beck tapping the wall. It's gonna slow him down a little bit. Both players get very close to the wall. Nice shroom. And one thing to note is that even though they go over the actually, you know what? I think that wall bump on the 180 actually saved Beck time. So I retract that statement because it looks like he is quite a ways ahead now. So he has bridged the gap. But yeah, one thing to note going over the ramps, even though the booster gives supposedly a boost, doing a mini turbo over it will actually make you go faster than using that boost, which is why you see them charge it up right there. Last 180. Looks like Dan just having a little bit of trouble getting a tighter line coming off that 180. Ooh, Beck missing a mini turbo. Last shroom. Wow. It's incredible every time I see it. They get right up against the wall. No guts, no glory, I say. Beck landing first. We'll see. Oh, but Beck missing a mini turbo. Beck still lands on the grass just a little bit ahead. Having trouble getting that last mini turbo out. Beck will take that. 253.03 to 253.19. Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was an 03 from Beck. Either way, he does pull ahead with a track. Rather not pull ahead, but he's on the board. Dan with the advantage, 2-1. And Beck is taking us to Frap Snowland next. So yeah, that Royal Raceway was a nice back and forth. That 180 in lap 2, I actually thought bumping the wall slowed him down. It did quite the opposite. Alright, so we'll see both players do the AB spin at the beginning using the boost to cut over the deep snow. Wow, Beck getting so close to the snowman. Now, aside from just general movement standpoint, getting the right shroom every lap right here. We'll see them cut over the deep snow, get really close to where the cutoff point is, where the Lakitu will pick you up and place you back on the track. And ideally, much like you saw, you'll use that shroom, get over the hill cleanly, and then land somewhere around the middle of those 3 snowmen. Beck pulling ahead with the 4037. So it is very dangerous to do the shroom strat the way they are doing it so consistently. They make it look so easy, but it's really not, because you're up against the edge of basically losing about 10 seconds. But if you don't use that line, then you're not going to clear the hill. Oh, Beck! Oh, hitting the wall. Dan is gonna pull ahead now. 4019 to 4089. Dan with a commanding lead at this point. Final shroom. Ooh, Dan just barely clearing the hill. Wow. Looks like he definitely has the lead. It's his race to lose at this point. And Dan will take it. 2:00.98 to 2:01.76, and Dan is up 3-1. Dan choosing Choco Mountain next. A very technical course where tight-lined mini turbos and good mushroom use go a long way. Both players are ready. Both players using the shroom up against the mountain there. Beck taking a tighter line and coming around. So on this course, with it being very technical, you want to be feathering in those mini turbos while essentially staying right up against close to the left or right side, depending on which way you're turning, as possible. Beck missing the mini turbo. He's going to hop. Both players getting bad hills though. 39-13 to 32. Dan pulls ahead just ever so slightly. Agreed, Xander. Yeah, Wario Stadium is definitely way up there, especially for a very long track. So we'll see them get as close to the fence here coming around. As close as you can get it will really save a lot of time. And getting good or bad hills here. Wow, Beck coming through with the good hills, 3890 to 3903. Does save you about, I believe, 0.1 to, it should be 0.1 or 0.15 of time each time that you get it. Essentially, coming around the last, turn, you want to wait to do the mini turbo a little bit after, so that the speed will carry over that first hill. Then you ride back on the back of the second hill, and then shoot over the third. Looks like they're very close here. I think Beck is just slightly ahead, if I'm seeing this right. Dan getting good hills though. 157.24. Dan pulling through with the 157.22. Oh my gosh. The clutch hills at the end. Wow. And Dan settles the first set with that. My gosh. That is insane. And now that we're in the second set, that means that Beck is up first to choose the next track. And then after this set, the picks for each player will reset, so they'll be able to choose the tracks that they have previously chosen. And Abney is taking us to Yoshi Valley. And I will count them down. So we'll see them use the shroom across the grass. Looks like Beck had a little bit of a strange time getting over that. Having some maneuvering problems at the beginning. Almost was lined up to hitting a spiny. So Dan already has a commanding lead. But anything can happen, much like as we are seeing right as I'm saying that, Dan takes a plummet and loses a massive amount of time. Beck is now went from behind to incredibly ahead. So it's going to take one major mistake from Beck, and I bet that chance will not happen. So these spinies are on a set cycle, and so you know if you're on a set pace that kind of where they're going to be as you do time trials. Beck is going to go the longer way because he knows he has a little bit of time. Dan hitting one, almost going off the track. That is one of the big spots. With the spinies, once you hit one, you no longer have control. You spin out forward, and if you're lined up to go off the track, it's just gonna happen. Back again, going the EZ route. Essentially, the only spot to really mess up will be hopping over the hairpin turn, which he nails. So he is set. Dan hugging the mountain. That's one thing about the polygons, is that you can get kind of sucked in with the polygons, and it essentially just takes all your speed, and you can do nothing about it. So Beck will take that one, 149.49. Dan will trail. $158.70. So Beck is up 1-0. We'll see if he can bring back for a set tie here. Dan is taking us to Donkey Kong's Jungle Parkway. This is a track with a lot of variance because there are many spots where you can lose time. The jump over the water, as far left as you can make it, is what you want to do. Looks like Dan's stream is just a little bit ahead. Alright, so coming around the first turn, they're gonna try to line up to get the best jump over the water here. If you go too far to the left, you're not going to make it and you'll fall in the water. Looks like they're on a good spot here, both players landing, and then you'll see them use a mushroom to get over the grass. And you'll see them do that each time, as long as they have a good jump here. Old strats were to use it going up the cave, but they use what's called a rah-rah strat. They mash R and A a couple times to get up the hill, and triple tapping A when you are at a speed slower than max, it actually allows you to accelerate a lot faster than just holding the A button. So jumping up and tapping A at the same time, they'll have that triple tap acceleration once they reach the peak. Dan with a sizable lead at this point. But anything can happen in the jungle, as we've seen. There are a lot of spots to get stuck at, like the bridge right beforehand, the bush polygon, and of course coming up the cave. The cave climb makes a huge difference too. 44-45. Beck actually gained a little bit there. 44-43. Dan still with the sizable lead. Taking it much safer on the last one. Beck landing, so he gained a good amount of time, but it looks like it's going to take a huge mistake for him to win at this point. Beck missing the mini turbo coming into the cave. Dan climbs. Nicely done. 213.67. Beck trailing with the 214.61. It is now 1-1 in set 2. Beck takes us to Calamari Desert. Both players are ready. So, right at the beginning of the track here, we'll see them go off-road to the left. They're going to do what's called hill hopping to get around, and the reasoning for this is that the train is on a cycle, and it's a long train to be waiting for. And so you'll see them hop, do some mini turbos to get around. They'll still beat the train naturally, and what happens is it's just setting them up so that on laps going forward, they're not going to get into a tough spot with the train. So you'll see them use the first shroom coming around, cutting over the dirt patch that slows you down, coming back onto the road. So essentially, at some points, when you're using a specific strat, 41.56, 42.14, Dan trailing. If you use a specific mushroom strat, like doing 1-1-1 or doing them all in the first lap, you essentially have to watch out, because if you're on a too fast or too slow pace, you'll get caught by the train. Peach, Yoshi, and Toad have all the same stats in Mario Kart 64. So they're all lightweight class, they have the same exact top speed, acceleration rate, etc. So we'll see them use any of those three, but personal favorite is Toad for the maximum Yahoo. So both players coming around the final, so you can see where the train is at. Oh, wow. Wow, Dan cutting between the last car and the caboose. Insane. Wow. I for a second there I was like, oh no, he's gonna release it and hit the train, but no. He pulls through clutch. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, if you did not know that that was a possibility, yeah, you can get through the gaps in the train, making it such that you don't have to wait. Dan will take that 205.72 to 79. Very close, very nice. Dan with the advantage, 2-1 in set 2. Wow. All right, Dan is taking us to Mario Raceway, a very fast track. A couple spots you get stuck with the mushroom cut, etc. Both players are ready. So you'll see them use the start boost to get over that initial part of the grass, hop over the grass to cut that corner. We'll see them go between the mushroom and the wall, both players getting through. You can get stuck hitting a piranha plant and it shoots you out and you lose a lot of time. .2941 to 2940, Beck pulling ahead by .01. Insane. Great maneuvering. Mushroom cut. Oh, Dan getting stuck on the wall just by a little bit. It will mess him up. He wasn't able to get that mini turbo coming out. Dan tapping the wall before the mushroom. Beck pulls ahead with a commanding lead. See the mini turbo and hop over that final patch to get around the lap. Both players getting through. Very nicely done. And still great driving, even despite the small mistake. So. Looks like Dan has actually had pulled back some of that time. Very nice. He had an insane final lap, 128.93 to 128.68. Wow, if Beck would have messed up just slightly, that would have been a huge time save. He had a pretty rough third lap there. And it brings it up 2-2, tied in set 2. And Abney taking us to the farm, Moo Moo Farm. Both players are ready. So Moo Moo Farm, best well known for, of course, the moles. The moles will pop out at random rather. So technically you can drive over any molehill you want, but the likelihood of you actually driving over it without something popping up is slim. So you want to avoid them as much as possible. Now, avoiding it can be tough because of very nice shroom from Dan. Because of the uneven terrain. 2937 backtrailing with the 2944. Dan pulls ahead. The uneven terrain makes it such that sometimes you oversteer when you don't want to, and it makes it tough charging up mini turbos, which you want to be doing at regular intervals when you can. Oh, back hitting a mole. Dan will pull ahead. 2943 to 3125. Uh-oh. Oh, but wow, Beck taking the inside. Crazy. Normally you see that on a fast lap when you can just reset. That's insane. Because you get so close to where those moles are. And Dan hits a mole. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen now? Wow, Beck taking the inside but hitting a mole. Oh no. Wow. 129.95. Beck trailing with the 132.07. Dan pulls ahead again. 3 tracks to 2 in set 2. This could be a possible set point for Dan. We'll see where we go. And Dan taking us to Wario Stadium. Nice, looks like the sync is still good. Alright, so we'll see them start off using the start boost to charge up a mini turbo going over the first hills. We'll see them do 3 mini turbos and then hop before they get to the top of that hill so they can reach the ground faster. Essentially, this is, without a doubt, one of the most technical tracks. You want to be doing mini turbos and staying as close to the walls, coming around the turns as you can, and then the mushrooms going over the next set of hills, staying close to the right-hand side without hitting the right side, which will cause you to tumble. Will save a good amount of time. Beck having a much cleaner mushroom coming to the right side, and then we'll see them do the zigzag mini turbo, which is very, very tough to do. You see them essentially hit it every time because they're very good, but there's a very small window coming around for that first zigzag mini turbo where you can actually charge it up. So you have to do it very quickly. If you're on a bad angle, it's not going to charge up. Back landing first over the jump. .2737, a 68 trailing from Dan. Beck will pull ahead, and this is definitely one of those marathon races where is wow, Beck getting the Tran, wow. So if you jump at the right time, you'll actually ride the end, the back side of the hill, and you do save a bit of time doing that. The Tran is named after the person that came up with it. His name is David Tran. We'll see that typically in Rainbow Road at the beginning. Whoa, Dan tapping the wall and actually changing his angle there. Very, very nice. like he has saved a little bit of time. He's actually neck and neck with Beck now. Oh, but tapping the wall. It's going to shoot him out just ever so slightly. Beck jumping and landing, but Dan has brought back the time here. Looks like he has actually pulled ahead with that final 180. He just had a much tighter line, 127.14 to the 38. Very nice, very close. It's always a treat when they're so close on these long tracks like this. Very, very good driving. They're very synced up at the moment. Wow. This mushroom is going to make it or break it for the major part. Both players playing aggressively. They had essentially the same mushroom, but Beck is on the right-hand side. He's going to tap the wall. Looks like Beck has pulled ahead just ever so slightly, maybe. It's 0.01 at this point. Oh, but Beck missing the mini turbo. Looks like he has pulled ahead slightly. Beck jumping. Dan using the mini turbo coming off there. Save a little bit of time. I'm going to shoot around the corner here. And Beck pulls ahead. Very, very nice race. 422.05 to 422.24. Nice driving. So Beck will tie it up in set 2. Alright, so where will we go to settle this set? Will Beck be able? Wow, okay, alright. I don't even have to ask the question. We're going to Royal Raceway Shortcut. Very nice play. Very good use of the Joker. One thing to note, each player once per match has a Joker card that they can play to choose a track to go shortcut. Now Beck, being the shortcut champion for shortcut, definitely has the advantage here. So we're not going to see the majority of the track. We're going to see them come around the 180 and then hop off and cross the water and touch a spot on the wall here, right by where that polygon is. Dan doesn't quite make it, so it's not going to place him where he wants to go. So when you hit that wall, the game thinks that you, for some reason, came from the ramp, so it will skip a good majority of that. Dan having a tough time, isn't able to get it the second time. He's just YOLOing right into it now, and it looks like he's actually going to DNF on this one. So you can kind of see the crease where the cutoff is. If you're to the left of that crease of that brown wall, it won't put you in on the ramp. But if you go just slightly to the right, there's actually quite a big spot where it'll just place you back on that ramp. last one up. One thing to note when you hit the wall, how long it takes for you to jump into the water dictates how fast it was. We'll see Beck go to the left, and as long as you clear enough of the water to the other side, then the game thinks that you would have fallen from the other side. Beck did not quite make it far enough, and he gets placed back up on the ramp. Beck will use the final mushroom to cut the grass and land in the lake to end it with 2:20.51. That concludes set 2. It is now 1-1, and we head back in with both players get all of their all of their picks again for each course, and it looks like we're going to Mario Raceway. Dan being the first to choose, as he lost the previous set, so I'm sure he's ready to fire right back. Alright, so see both players come around and see what they do in this first mushroom cut here. The player is coming through very nicely. Dan pulling a little bit ahead here. Ooh, but has a little bit of trouble getting back on. Beck will pull ahead, 47-59. Beck getting stuck on the piranha plant, so that is the giant hazard there, making that mushroom cut. You can save a lot of time, but if you hit the piranha plant, it'll shoot you out in a direction. Typically you'll see it be in front of that brick wall, in which case you have to slow all the way down so that you can A/B spin to the left and pull through. So now it is Dan's race to lose at this point, and he's electing to go safe. Very, very smart choice. Very nicely done. 129.69. Beck trailing with the 136.62. And Dan pulls first blood in set 3. Okay, and next up will be Toad's Turnpike from Beck. another highly technical track. You're essentially spamming mini turbos, coming around the corners while staying as close to the side as you can. But if you bump the wall, it bounces you back, and you do lose quite a bit of time. You'll see them go in between the trucks and buses here, just so they can stay closer to the wall, the fencing rather. And this is a track where you can essentially use the mushroom around any turn without it being a greater advantage over the other. So it's entirely their own discretion at which they want to use those mushrooms. So they'll be doing these mini turbos, weaving in and out of traffic, trying to make sure that they get the most out of the glide after the mini turbo. But on the large straightaway, that's sometimes the toughest part, because on lap 2, the trucks and buses are on the left-hand side. If you don't have good enough maneuvering, you run the risk of running into a car, truck, or bus. You see them come around to the left and do the mushroom going between the tanker and the bus. Nicely done from both players. It's a very, very small gap. But they pull it off, back tapping the fence line. So if you try to jump on the decline here, you're not able to touch the ground and slide into the mini turbo, so that's one big hazard. Both players coming through the straightaway nicely. Beck pulling ahead. Both players using the mushroom around that first turn here. Beck pulls through 59.33 to 59.46. It's not much, but he is definitely ahead. Very nicely done. Both players getting right up against the fence line, charging the mini turbos. Looks like they're saving the shroom for the final part. So this part is tough because the cars, trucks, buses, tankers, they're all blocking your way. So you have to really pick a good spot to use that. Nicely done. Beck pulling ahead with the 258.92. Dan trailing just slightly behind 259.29. That brings it 1-1 in set 3. Next up will be Royal Raceway. So much like I had said before, the 180 jump here will save or lose a lot of time, both players making it over nicely. Oh, Beck hits the wall. Dan will pull ahead by a sizable amount. Excuse me, 57-41 to 58-38, excuse me. Coming up on the second 180. Beck, yeah, tapping the wall again, nicely done. Still gonna need something big to happen for him to come back from that. Both players having a good mushroom on the second lap. Yes, VAJ, this is the quarterfinals. So the winner of this will play Matthias, and then the winner of Lewis versus Lewis versus Armor will play Jaden. And then the winner of those will go to the grand finals. Ah, yes. That is a good point. Yeah, the last US guys, for sure. And still with the lead here. As long as he doesn't tap the wall or do anything crazy. Getting so close to the wall there. Pretty much necessary to try and recoup a little bit of time. Dan gonna jump and land before back. Very good driving. Just the one big mushroom cut on the first lap gave it to Dan. 252.51 to 253.07. And that brings us up 2-1, Dan to Abney. Back doing the calculations to choose his next course. He must choose wisely because he wants to tie this up. If he loses this one and Dan goes 3-1, that means that Dan gets to choose the potential set closer for this. Beck taking us back to Koopa Troopa Beach. Both players go to the left of the big Koopa rock. That does save time versus going around to the right. See both players come up to the ramp, get in using the mini turbos. Nicely done from both players. There's the mushroom. Oh, but Beck tapping the side of the mountain. He's going to lose some time here. Dan's going to pull ahead 32.29 to 32.44. One thing to note is that the shoreline is on a set timer at which the tide rises and falls. So if you're on the same pace, the tide will be at the same spot. So you essentially want to, at the end of the lap, have the tide be down or be further away from the road so that you can cut a bigger amount. Looks like Beck has recouped the time, so you see the tide recessing as they come around, so they don't have to go all the way to the left. 31.88 to 32.57, massive. It's going to be Beck's race to lose at this point. Still a couple places they could end up. Dan having some trouble getting around. Mini turbo in. Dan hits the wall. He doesn't make it in, but he will try the backup. Nicely done. Second try. So if you hit the wall and jump at the same time, it'll pop you up. You don't want to be at top speed, otherwise you won't make it in. Beck will take this and tie it up 2-2, 136.29 to 141.88. Nicely done. All right, next up is Donkey Kong's Jungle Parkway. We're headed back to the jungle. Again, a lot of spread as far as where the times lie on the MarioKart64.com time trial site. There's a huge variance from even the top 100, from 100 to world record. You'll see both players hop off the ramp here, try to make it as far left as they can without going too far and falling in the water. Both players landing nicely, using the shroom to get across the grass patch. Ideally, you would only spend enough time to get hit by two of those coconuts, spiked coconuts, as getting hit by the third one does lose a little bit of time. And Dan pulls ahead, getting to the rope bridge first, and will enter the cave. You see them hop up the hill using a mini turbo and getting the triple tap A so that they're at top acceleration once they get to the top, so that they can get back up to max speed very quickly. And on the second jump, Beck right behind him. Both players make it across nicely. And you see them use a mini turbo. Oh, Beck gets hit with the third coconut right at the end. You hate to see it. Dan will pull ahead. Second cave climb. Very nicely done from Dan. Wow. 44.51 to 44.60. And the final jump. Beck taking it a little bit more aggressively. He makes it across. Likely bridges the gap a little bit here. But after that first lap, it looks like it's going to be Dan's race to lose. One catastrophe that can happen is if the cave climb is too far to the left, you can tumble at the top and you feel really bad afterwards. Dan pulls through 213 flat to 214.06. Second variance. So back to the danger zone here. 3-2. This could potentially be the end of set 3. So now, back in a tough spot once again. He's doing his best just to tie it up, and then he's gonna have to win on Dan's pick if he wins this next one. He's gonna have to choose wisely. Oh, nice pick. So we're going to Bowser's Castle. Very nice. So this is a course that can be good or catastrophic depending on your skill level. And even if you are good, it can still be catastrophic. So they're going to be weaving in and out between thwomps, which are on cycles. The first set in the long hallway, however, there's a set of thwomps that, in normal time trial settings, you would have a distraction ghost that would be in the corner to the left of where they're entering right now, so that those two thwomps that will follow them just hang back and you can drive. Oh, back hitting the thwomp. Oh no. So Dan is going to pull ahead with a huge lead. Now another thing to note is now because Beck is behind, those other blocker thwomps there, everything except for those follower thwomps are on a cycle. So if you're on your usual pace, you know where they're going to be. But now it's going to be very tough to discern. You have to basically make a snap decision at this point. .45-30, nicely done. Beck will trail. It's gonna take a miracle. But yeah, so for the one try league, that distraction ghost is not allowed, or ghost in any manner for that matter, except for of course the course ghost. Man, playing very nicely. Tapping the side of the spiral. Ooh, Beck also tapping the spiral. Very nice. Tapping the spiral adjusts the angle at which you climb, and you climb it at a much narrower angle, which saves a little bit of time. 45-12. Very nice lap actually. Dan misses the stairs MT. Beck gets the stairs MT. It's a big time save, negligible at this point in the race, but getting the stairs MT, charging it up over the narrow bridge is very tough to do. Dan will take set 3 with a 2:14.38 on Bowser's Castle. And that concludes set 3, so now it is now 2-1. And Beck will be up to choose first for set 4. Dan announcing that he will be right back, just for a quick break. So I'll kind of go over some things while he's gone. This is Mario Kart 64 One Try League. We are in our final weeks as we get into soon to be the semifinals and then the finals. The winner of this match will go against Matthias Rustemeyer, the #1 non-shortcut Mario Kart 64 player, and it's going to be a tough one, undoubtedly. Throughout the league matches, if you have been catching them, you'll see that some players play with the NTSC version of the cart, which runs at 30 frames per second. This is the PAL console, which runs at 25 frames per second. So as it runs a little bit slower, the timer is the same. So to make up for the differences, there is a comparison at which the site runs. So you can see an NTSC time equals a specific PAL time and vice versa. PAL is the greater, the more competitive version of the game. You can get into the top 10 with NTSC. It is a lot tougher to do mini turbos and maneuver as precisely as you can with PAL. Alright, Dan is back and ready. And Abney's taking us back to Calamari Desert, trying to fire back after that previous one. So we'll see what kind of train shenanigans we can come up with this time. And the previous Calamari Desert, Dan cut between the train car and the caboose and got the win there. It's very, very impressive to see, especially for a one-try league. Like, yeah, you could grind it 1,000 times and get it, but to do it on the fly like that, lap 3, was amazing. So we'll see both players do hill hops to come around, charging up some mini turbos. And this just sets them up such that the train will be in the spot they want it to be. So you can come around with the first shroom, nicely done. Beck has a little bit of a lead, but let me see if we're not synced up. 41.52 to 42.13. That is correct. He has pulled ahead by a little bit more than a half second. So yeah, if you go any slower, you would get caught by that second train. So you have to have pretty clean driving to do strats like this. Otherwise, the train will be an issue, and essentially make it such that you have to just try again. But in a one-try league, it would be just go between the cars and hope for the best, really. Alright, 42.95 to 42.87. Dan pulls ahead as far as that lap goes, but he has a little bit of time to make up still. So now they're going to charge a mini turbo and just catch the end of this train here. And that allows them to beat the train coming back on this track, so they can cut the turn getting back on the onto the dirt there, using the 2 mushrooms to come back. Looks like Looks like they're neck and neck. I'm not sure if Beck is still ahead or not. Wow. Wow. I guess with the sinking was basically the difference there. But Dan pulls ahead 205.63 to 205.76. Nicely done. And Dan once again getting the first course on Beck's pick, no less. If I'm right, that has been the same for every set so far that he chose first. And Dan takes us back to Banshee Boardwalk. Good call. Try to sync these guys up a little better. That should be much better now. Okay. So the Banshee Boardwalk is really tough because it's a very narrow corridor at which you're charging these mini turbos at. So if your angles are off, you take too wide of a turn or not wide enough. Oh, Beck having some trouble getting into the bat cave. He is tapping the walls. Is gonna fall behind. So that is really exemplary of that. Really tough to charge mini turbos down straight stretches to begin with, much less a very narrow corridor. It's going to be Dan's race to lose at this point. He has actually turned off the broadcast so he can concentrate, so he does not know that he is ahead. So we won't see him use safe strats anymore, which is interesting. Oh, but Dan does the same, oh no, and he AB spins around and uses the mushroom. So he did the same exact thing, but he lost more time, and Beck pulls ahead. Yeah, it's interesting that it is called the Bat Cave, although in time trials there are no bats. In the Grand Prix mode of the game, there are bats that come out of like that chest. Oh wow, Beck falling in the water, back and forth, falls in the water. Can't believe it. There's some major mistakes brought each player into the lead and then gave it up. But yeah, on the Grand Prix mode, in the right corner, there's bats that will kind of knock you off your path and slow you down. And if you're hit by a lightning bolt, they'll actually squish you. Wow, Dan probably thinks that he lost too, which is crazy. And he pulls ahead. 209.87, up 2-0. Is he ready to finalize this one? He definitely has taken the gloves off now. So that means it's Beck's pick. Hopefully he can get on the board in set 4 here. He's in a tough spot. And he brings us back to Yoshi Valley. Okay. Alright, so you'll see them A-B spin. Use the mushroom to get over the grass and to get into the first set of spinies here. There's a very wide gap, so you know exactly where they're going to be. But back hitting the right wall, it pops him out to the left, and he hits the spinies there. Dan pulls ahead, coming around over the first hairpin jump. Both players land nicely. Dan a little bit further to the left. He's going to pull very massively ahead. Hitting the spiny loses time, not only because you slow down, but you can no longer turn and you run right into the wall. And now, because he is a little bit behind, now the spinies are going to be in a good spot. So Dan will know to be able to get through that gap, but they're going to be a different spot. Beck slowing down just slightly, getting through a good gap regardless. Dan hitting a spiny though, so Beck recoups a good amount of time. Dan having some maneuvering problems, hitting the wall, coming back. Beck actually lands over the hairpin jump before Dan and pulls ahead. Very nicely done. That was, again, a lot of back and forth in these. Both players using the mushroom to get over the grass. So we'll both take the left side. This is the toughest one, but if you kind of aim your cart further to the left, even if you hit the spiny, you'll just hit the wall instead of going off this side. So Dan pulling ahead again, he will land, Beck clipping through the fence line. Oh, and Beck gets smashed by the Yoshi egg. It was Dan was already in a position to win, but nothing like hitting that when you're already behind. 148.87. Beck will trail. And Beck is in a tough spot. Not only is this potentially the set and match point for Dan, but Dan gets to choose the track. And we're going to Sherbet Land. Very good pick. So this features a lot of penguins. The penguins are on a set cycle, so you more or less know where they're going to be unless you make a mistake or if you're not used to going a certain pace. So you want to be going fast enough such that when you're in the cave, you can go to the left of the penguin that is coming around that pillar. So we'll see them do an A-B spin at the start and cut that first little crack. And then this is a big time save or loss. Beck has some maneuvering problems, so he wasn't able to cut as much of that corner as he wanted. So Dan pulls ahead. He reaches the cave. So we'll see them. Oh no! Oh no! Beck hitting the wall as he used the mushroom. He elects to fire the rest of them. .38.76, trailing by a couple seconds here, just shy of. Beck just driving safe now. It's gonna be highly Dan's race to lose now. He doesn't know. He doesn't know where he's at as far as the race goes. Dan has a very clean mushroom coming around. He's gonna exit the cave. .38.72. Trailing with the 40.78. Really, the only thing that could happen is if Dan falls off right here. Wow. And he cuts it and he makes it. Beck also likewise taking a deep cut over that. Makes it in. It's going to take a penguin hit or something crazy here. Dan firing it, getting around that penguin, and he makes it out of the cave cleanly. that is that. Dan takes it. Set 3 with a 156.28. Back 202.19. Set and match. Dan takes it. And my gosh, is that a PB or a PR rather? I'm not sure if that is. I mean, it must be, right? There's no way he plays on an unfresh cart. Nicely done. Good game from both the players. Dan will move on to go head-to-head with Matthias in the semifinals. Next up will be Armin. Excuse me. Yes, Armin versus Lewis. They are playing their match on the 21st. Armin doesn't have a stream, so after that, the winner of that will go against Jaden, and then the winner of Matthias versus Dan will go to the grand finals. Good game to both the players. If you are interested in joining the time trial site, you can go to www.mariokart64.com. We have, my gosh, about 1,200 people ranked, and there's a lot of competition, a lot of really good community that is very active. Feel free to join the Discord if you guys would like to get in on the fun. Everybody is a big help, so feel free to come out. Other than that, thank you very much to Speed Gaming for hosting our One Try League, and I hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday night or Sunday morning, wherever you may be. Thank you, and have a great day.